2015, and it's about 7 a.m. in the morning. And as you hear again, I'm in the shower. Last night, I was listening to my audio tapes. And upon listening to it, my audio diary, I should call it, I had these thoughts that I wanted to share with you guys. So today, this evening will be the beginning of Passover. You know, it lasts for about 8 days, and it commemorates the history of the ancient Hebrews who were enslaved in Egypt and escaped. And it was the story of Moses. I was just thinking about the similarities of the Exodus account of the Bible and the Annunaki. That we have a people from another location, in this case the Annunaki, who allegedly are from another planet called Ibiru. And there was a problem where they were living with their atmosphere, and they needed to get specific supplies from elsewhere to remedy the problem. And it was discovered that gold could fix the problem. Something that, use it to repair their ozone layer or something to that effect. And one of these people of their planet came upon planet Earth, what we call planet Earth now, and discovered that it had gold. So he notified the people where he lived, and then they started an expedition to extract this gold and send it back to their planet. According to the author Michael Tellinger, his book, that it was a whole network. And for many years they were on this planet. And it seemed to be like a labor dispute. And you had fighting. And then they supposedly remedied the problem with making workers, taking the indigenous population and do a genetic work on them to alter their genetics so that they'll be able to have the ability to do the type of work they want them to do. How this story kind of reminds me of this Anunnaki account with the ancient Hebrews. We have a man named Abraham. And in the story of Abraham, in Genesis, the book of Genesis, it mentions that he, his own father, and some relatives were heading on their way to a land called Canaan, modern-day Israel. And then it says that the father died. It doesn't explain why he died. And I just assumed it was old age. That's just what I assumed. Or sickness. And then he's told, Abraham is told by Jehovah, some being from another dimension, that that to leave to go to this land named in Canaan, and that he'll be blessed, that the land is to be his, and that he and his descendants and over will be blessed by him. And he arrives, and then there's a lot of problems, what do you call it, like famine. And famine seems to happen a lot with the generations, like the first 3 generations of Abraham. You have Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And each one, they seem to incur similar stories, that when they were there was some type of, they had during each, famine period, they had to go to Egypt. But Egypt was their friend. Just like with the Annunaki, the earth was their friend. They were coming there. They came to Egypt willingly. They came to willingly. It was their safety zone. Just like earth was a safety place for the Annunaki. It was what saved their lives. The supplies. So for the Annunaki, it was the gold, and for the ancient Hebrews, it was the food. Okay? So even with Joseph, Joseph, as many of you know, was sold into slavery by his brothers. And he was sold into Egypt. And he's, despite his enslavement and imprisonment at one point, he still had the blessing from his God. Joseph is also psychic. He can interpret dreams. He is very insightful. Also, I have to mention, like with Abraham, the patriarch of the Hebrews, this particular family of Hebrews, he is told that down the road, his ancestors will be enslaved for 400 years. And then they would leave to go back to their promised land. This also reminds me of the story of the Annunaki. Okay, and I'm wondering whether, how, is it a real correlation? So, because the people of, that other planet, the homeland of the Annunaki, now they went willingly, and I'm wondering whether if there's an account of this story that something would happen to them there. So they eventually revolted, according to the Sumerian accounts of this Anunnaki group. So with the Hebrews, ancient Hebrews, we have a famine, and Joseph, one of the 12 sons of Israel, or Jacob, he's also known as, they're forced to come into Egypt to get food, and the brothers who are forced to go down there encountered Joseph, but they didn't recognize him for whatever reason. And to fast forward the story, the brothers learned that Joseph actually is their brother that they sold into slavery, and that they'll be taken care of with the brothers and the remaining of the family that they'll have the best of the land. But again, remember the prophecy, the alleged prophecy that they'll be in slavery. Now, if they know that information, that they'll be put into slavery, and they know that the famine is only going to be for 7 years, I think like the first 3 years of something, I forget how it goes, whether it was a total of 7 years or 7 years each episode. It could be like 7 years of famine, 7 years of bounty and then 7 years of famine. And so that famine was up. So how come they didn't leave then? The only account that you get is that they said Joseph and his generation they died. And the new king didn't know about the story of Joseph. Now, I don't know how any pharaoh of that day not know. But that's what the story says. And this particular group of Hebrews is very distinguished between the local population and the king. The new king didn't like this distinction, and that king thought, or Pharaoh thought, that these Hebrews would take over. So he remedies the problem by enslaving them. And then, the story, continues, and then they eventually get their freedom through Moses with the help of Yahweh or Jehovah. So, how does this all fit in? Now, you have an Anunnaki. They have a task, but then they don't leave. What keeps them there on the planet? Why don't they just stay on the planet? They have dominion over the local population. They seem to be, surviving. So if it's a problem of their own country, their own planet, why didn't they just relocate everybody from that planet and come to the other place? But the interesting is, I'm wondering whether the stories are actually one and the same. That you have what people call the ancient Hebrew, who are skilled, they're skilled at what they do. They have their God's blessing. They seem to have supernatural ability. Then I shouldn't say supernatural, but they have abilities beyond the general population. And I'm wondering whether that story of them when they're working in Canaan actually the same story of the Anunnaki who were doing well on this planet. And then they rebelled. So this is quite telling. And very compelling because now it's approaching Passover week. It begins this evening. So again, there's all these little dots of history, and I want to join the dots so I can see what picture it is. And I don't know whether there is a correlation between the book of Genesis and Exodus in the Bible and the story of the Anunnaki, but I find it compelling that the theme seems very similar. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know below. So take care and enjoy. Continuation. I just have another thought. did the account of Genesis and Exodus really happen? Did it really happen? Because you have some people who are saying that religion is made by the Annunaki, the Abrahamic religion. My question regarding that is this. I saw a program a couple of years ago on a tribe in southern Africa. They're called the Lamba, Lemba. And it was discovered, like you had a European who noticed that this particular tribe in southern Africa, their customs are very unique to the general population. Even though they look like the general population, but the customs, some of the customs are very distinct and very Hebrewic or Hebraic. That's the pronunciation. And then they did a genetic testing on the leaders, the people, the priests of the clan, of the tribe. And they noticed that genetically, that the leaders, the priests of their tribe, has what they call a DNA that's unique with the European Jews, the priests. I forget the term that they use, but it's the same. But like the general population of the group, it's local. Like the women's DNA is local southern African women. But the males in these positions, they have a distinct DNA. But as a group, they resemble phenotypically. And the oral history says that they came from Yemen. I mean, that originally came from the northern part of Israel today. And it was during there was some war, like the northern tribe, Israel, was taken into captivity. And then this group, the Lamba, is a direct descendant of this branch that was put into exile, and then they journeyed south. And so genetics is saying that you have a people, and they have these traditions, and then they have the DNA that matches the European Ashkenazis. There's the priestly part of that group. So that story is being collaborated. So what is really true in history or not? I mean, so you have parallels with the Anunnaki and the ancient Hebrews, but then you have a correlation, a genetic connection with the people in southern Africa. So this is just further food for thought. Over. This is another question I have regarding this the Lemba tribe in southern Africa. Now, in Michael Tellinger's book, he mentions about a people, people who were, the Anunnaki had gone to southern Africa and have an extensive gold mine expedition to to send the gold to their planet, and how they mixed in with the general population. Some of them mixed in with the general population, or there was a genetic testing done on the local population to mix their genes and to be able to do the task. But initially, just the Anunnaki did it. I'm wondering, are the Lamba linked in with this Anunnaki? They, according to the Lemba's tradition, oral history, that they came from another place up north and they traveled south, and that they built a city in southern Africa. Now they are in ruins in Zimbabwe. I think it's called Greater Zimbabwe. And there are these big structures there, ruins, and they don't really know how it got there, but there seems to be some evidence collaborating. Like they found like beads and some other stuff, material that is found in the Middle East. So it seems to be suggesting that there is a link between the Middle East, what we call the Middle East, that they had some involvement over there at these structures, these ancient structures found in southern Africa. So again, it's just linking in like that there's a network going with a specific type of people, and then these histories written in tablets of these cities that, are accounts of these mining cities. So again, it's just another dot in the picture. Take care.